Yeah, welcome back. The newspaper review segment is next and is brought to you by Lipton Tea, the world's #1 tea brand. I'm here with Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who is the Member of Parliament for the Ifutu constituency. Good morning to you, Alex.
Good morning.
And also Felix Kwachofosu, who is Deputy Minister of Communications. You're welcome as well. All right, let's take a look at our newspapers and then we'll delve into the issues for this morning. We'll start off with a Daily Graphic newspaper and the front page, of course, focusing on that shooting incident in the eastern region. 2 killed at Obotebri Shrine. Police pick suspect to assist in investigations. Auditor General on heels of Bimbela District Education Directorate for paying contractors for jobs never executed. Illegal miners now do business in homes at Odumase. That story is on page 16. And also, I accept Nadoli Kalio Mugabe tag. That's according to Alban Bagbin. On the back page of the paper, Hearts win in Accra, Stars beat Rwanda, and I think the Daily Graphic has done a disservice to Ash Gold. They have won the league, more important than Hearts of Oak, in my opinion. I don't work at the Daily Graphic anyway, so it's none of my business. But yeah, congratulations to Ash Gold for winning it after 19 years. We'll go to the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The front page, Freddie Blair rubbishes allegation in letter to police. Osumfo orders KMA to give guarantee. That's on page 4. 5 held over shooting at shrine. 15 Egyptian doctors arrive. More coming, we are told. And Standogbe must be fired, according to Professor Audrey Gajepo. On the back page of the paper, Hearts overpower Chelsea. It was a 3-2 win for Hearts of Oak. And they occupy the 5th spot comfortably. Ash Gold win league. Thank you, Ghanaian Times. And Meteors held to draw. Hard win for Ghana in Kigali. And that pitch was like a jungle. Anyway, so that's the Ghanaian Times. Let's take a look at the Daily Guide newspaper. The front page, no secret NPP account, says Freddie Blair. Buhari storms Accra and we expected the Nigerian president in Accra today. I'm not a thief, Nana declares. That's the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper for this morning. We'll take a look at the Business and Financial Times. The front page says that IMF to tinker with conditionalities. Cabinet orders joining of pipelines in 6 months. And that's the front page of the Business and Financial Times newspaper. Well, let's get into the details now. Well, we'll start off with, let's do some politics first. Let's go to page 23 of the paper. Okay, so we'll start with the Honorable Alban Bagbin story. And he says, the story says that one of the longest serving parliamentarians, Mr. Alban Bagbin, says he accepts his so-called Mugabe status in parliament with pride, declaring, I am even the Omar Bungu. He made the declaration after he had submitted his nomination documents to contest the Nadoli Kaliuk parliamentary primary of the NDC to be held on November 7. On a day that signaled his campaign for a 7th term in Parliament, Mr. Bagbin said a spontaneous demonstration by his constituents earlier in the week urging him not to quit Parliament had forced him to rescind an earlier decision that he would not be seeking re-election. Well, the story is on page 23. It goes on and on. I'll start off with you, Felix. I mean, a lot of people keep saying that we need new hands in Parliament, but you also need the likes of Alban Bagbin in Parliament. So seeking a 3rd term, a 7th is not such a big deal. If you go to other countries, you have parliamentarians who've been there for 40 years, 45 years. It's not such a big deal, is it?
Well, I am happy that the Honorable Alban Bagbin has cleared the air about his continued stay in Parliament, subject, of course, to re-election by his constituents. I was a bit apprehensive when earlier reports emerged that he had thrown in the towel and decided not to seek re-election. Of course, he clarified it, and that laid the matter to rest. Of course, it is refreshing to have new faces in Parliament, to have new blood injected into the system, both at the level of the executive and at the level of the legislature. Perhaps we ought to even be looking at similar injection at the level of the judiciary. It will help bring some innovation to that place as well. But there's also a lot to be said for experience. You cannot have a situation where the Chamber of Parliament is dominated by first-time MPs, or for want of a better expression, less experienced MPs. These new entrants would require the steady hands of the Alban Bagbins of this world to guide them through the processes of Parliament and impart to them the knowledge that they have acquired over the years. Again, that experience also comes in handy when they have to scrutinize the work of the executive, when loans have to be approved, all manner of agreements during the passage of legislation and what have you. Therefore, I personally am happy that he is still in the race. I disagree with those who ab initio insist that after you've gone to Parliament for a number of terms, you necessarily ought to quit. If the person still has the fire in his belly, if the motivation is still there, if he has the strength and capacity to carry on, why not? Some decide on their own volition that they have had enough, they've rendered enough service to their nation, so they want to bow out and give others the opportunity. That is okay, it is noble, it is honorable, and they can be commended for that kind of posture. But those who also feel that they have more to contribute to their country must not be denied the opportunity to carry on simply because of age or simply because they've been there for quite some time. So in general, I am happy that he still wants to make himself available to go to Parliament, and I believe that the legislature will be the richer for it, and Ghana will benefit from his vast experience.
And you would have thought a tag like Mugabe would, spoil the party, but he's taking it very lightly. I mean,
of course, he's an experienced politician. Sometimes you should be able to laugh at yourself and not be too uptight to some of these things. Real politicians suffer tagging and innuendos and name calling all the time. If you do not have the necessary shock absorbers and wherewithal to be able to parry off some of these names, I don't think that you survive in this game. So it's okay. He's taking it lightly, and it could turn out to be an advantage. General Mosquito, for instance. When the name General Mosquito started, they started off as a way of deriding him. He adopted it, and now he's become very famous for it.
And people know him more.
Absolutely, people know him more as General Mosquito than his real name. So that's how you can turn a negative into a positive if you are skillful in this game. Yeah.
Alex, you see this gentleman every now and then in Parliament, and so you know firsthand about his experience in Parliament.
Let me first even deal with this issue of Mugabe tag. Mugabe is hailed by his people, and he's seen as a hero in spite of having difficulties or problems with the Western powers. So really, like Felix said, if you are given a tag to connote some negative thing, you could turn it positively. And Bagbin is known for that his skill, sometimes even on the floor of the House. He could say something that ordinarily, if anybody has said it, perhaps other MPs will not take it kindly. But the way he put it can just weather the storm. So I believe it's in that spirit that he's now said, okay, I accept the tag Mugabe. But he comes across as an experienced person who would never hesitate in sharing. And to me, I've learned a lot from him, and I would wish he stays in Parliament a bit longer to help in our parliamentary debates, because he's a down-to-earth person, and if you see his contribution, leaving Parliament now will be a bit worrying. Although if he decides to leave honorably, things will not come to a standstill. But his continuously being there would help our democracy in a great deal. So I wish him all the best, and I believe that his people who are in his constituency would see the good job he's doing and give him another opportunity. Sometimes people often think that if you go to Parliament after 2 terms or 3 terms, you're supposed to bow out. But unfortunately, that is not the case. As for Parliament, the more you stay there, the more the experience and the better the contribution you are able to make. You enter Parliament, first timer, you are likely to be at the backbench most times. You wouldn't be part of decision making. You go to committee meetings, you have to listen, because in Parliament it doesn't matter your qualification. If you get there and you don't learn, you cannot participate. You make a lot of mistakes. Procedure is key, technicalities here and there, and even the approach, language use and all that. So it is important our people get this understanding that unlike the presidential provisions where you have to serve 2 terms and it's over, the constitution bars you, for parliament you're supposed to, the longer you find yourself there, the better it is even for the people. So once the person is delivering, once the person is willing to work, the issue of tagging the person that he's been here for far too long really is not too appropriate or too right. So let's encourage hard-working members who want to continue to be there to help consolidate the gains in Parliament. It would enrich debate, it would enrich lawmaking, it would enrich our ability to scrutinize and exercise oversight. Because sometimes the public also bash us that, hey, why didn't Parliament see this? There are a lot of, if you are given volumes of document, you should know which areas you should deal with and quickly prepare yourself for a debate. And if you are inexperienced and they give you those volumes of document, I tell you, you just go and sleep. You won't be able to do anything, and then you'll be doing all of this service to your people. So I wish him the best. He is a leader who will come to our coffee area and take tea with us. You know, it's not too normal. So let's wish him the best.
Hopefully, you know, he comes out the victor in this election. He said that he's not afraid of competition. He's used to competition, so this is nothing new. But let's focus on the NDC primaries that's coming up on November 7. Felix, you promised to tell us today if you were going to run.
No, I didn't.
Oh, what did you tell us?
I didn't say so. I don't think.
You said you were going to think about it.
No, I didn't promise you. I also don't think that it's about me. I think that there's a larger.
It's all part of it.
Yes, but the point is that the NDC's nomination process is going fairly well. So far, we've not heard of any disturbing developments. Like I've always said,
Judge Boateng is not happy with your party.
I'll come to that. Like I've always said on this program, it is not unusual during internal primaries to have some heat and controversy generated. But in fact, it would be extremely odd if that didn't occur. But it depends on how the process is managed. So far, I am satisfied by the way in which our national executive have managed the process. There have not been any unnecessary spillovers, and everybody appears in large parts to be playing according to the book. And it does appear that our national executive is determined to stamp its authority on the process to ensure that we all are put into line. Regarding Mr. Judge Boateng, again, Nanaba, the NDC is a credible political organization. And in as much as the Constitution of Ghana, and in fact the Constitution of the NDC, and in fact the process that we've actually established encourages persons interested in contesting for any position to show up and contest. There's also a certain minimal level of gatekeeping that political parties must do. They must show respect to the electorate. Therefore, the caliber of people who step up to lead the party at various levels must be up to scratch. We cannot afford to present the people of Ghana with just about anything simply because a contest has been instituted for people to run. So if you saw the steps taken by the National Executive Committee, led by the National Chairman and General Secretary and the others, to sanitize the process, to ensure that our process is not subjected to abuse and comical conduct, then I think that it is in order. It is a mark of respect for the people of Ghana that we are taking steps to ensure that we present them with quality material, not just anybody who shows up. And I think that it is something that ought to be appreciated. It is not that President Mama is afraid of competition. I mean, I hold. And
this is what the gentleman thinks.
No, the pervasive truth in the NDC today is that anybody who steps up to contest President Mama will fail simply because of the man's performance. It is not something that can be hidden.
So everybody in the party is satisfied with this work?
Well, Nanaba, I mean, it would be odd to have 100% satisfaction with any singular human being. But I'm telling you that strategically, tactically, and politically, it wouldn't make sense for anybody to show up to contest President Mahama. There's no point in doing it. That is how come you find that party stalwarts are not even taking the step to go and pick nomination for us to contest him, in spite of speculation that has gone on for quite some time. That is a clear indication that people who understand politics and have studied the terrain know that it will be a fruitless exercise to seek to contest President Mahama. Now, now a certain Mr. George Boateng then emerges that he wants to contest President Mahama. And indeed, at the time that he went to the party office and purported to be picking nomination for, he was wearing a brooch that had President Mahama's picture on it, clearly campaigning for the man. And again, if you listen to his utterances and his conduct generally, clearly this is not someone who should be representing a major political party like the National Democratic Congress. With a greatest respect,
so? I
don't think that Nanaba, when you listen to the man speak, he shows the caliber of person that you require to fill such a slot. And I think that the NDC has done well to seek to sanitize the situation and stop this sort of thing from happening.
But he's not giving up, though.
Well, it's not about giving up. You see, you must satisfy a certain minimal criteria. The people of Ghana look up to people of a certain standing to put themselves up for leadership position. So if you cannot meet very minimal criteria, if you cannot speak and reason in a way that resonates with the average person, if you cannot conduct yourself in a way that reflects the sort of seriousness that we ought to bring to a position like that, I don't think that you have any business approaching it. And if the NDC takes any steps to forestall such an occurrence, I think that it should be appreciated as a step that shows the respect that we have for the people of Ghana. I don't believe that the NPP will tolerate that kind of thing.
Your party has been criticized for sacking these two officials who...
Yes, Naba, you see, the point is that what happened...
The nomination, we are told that it was a draft.
Naba, what happened was an aberration. There's a process that is clearly outlined for people to acquire nomination forms if they want to contest. So those individuals who engage in that transaction had no business doing it. They ought to have consulted or they ought to have done that with recourse to the appropriate authority. They didn't do it. In doing so, they ended up giving some documents to a gentleman whose conduct clearly cannot be countenanced within our party. So they misconducted themselves, and that is how come they have been sanctioned. Again, I go back to the point that we have acted this way out of respect for the people of Ghana, because we believe that all political parties must put their best foot forward. When it comes to the leadership of Ghana, it is very, very serious business. So there's no room for misconduct. There's no room for comedy. There's no room for a lack of seriousness. And that is how come we have taken these steps. But by and large, the process has gone on smoothly. There will be exchanges. I'm sure it will get heated.
We're looking forward to that.
As and when the process rolls along. Again, the sheer amount of interest that various people have expressed in representing the party at different levels, for me, is an indication that the NDC remains an attractive brand. We are the party of choice for the people. And also, it shows that we are...
the NPP also had several people like that.
Well, of course, but again, it is the end product. In doing the analysis, look at the end product. Which party, on the balance, if you take our history and our record and everything, which party is more acceptable to the people? How do you judge that? You judge that by the level of success that has been chalked over the years by various parties, and it will be clear which party is the obvious choice. As for the NPP, they can lay claim to anything. As the campaign goes on, as the campaign goes on, the chaff will be separated from the wheat, as they say, and it will become very obvious which party Ghanaians want to accept. I would urge all who are contesting in the primaries to conduct themselves well. Let us learn from the lessons of others so that we come up victorious, or we come up even more formidable.
That's not to talk about your point, but let me pick Alex's comments now.
Well, whatever, having listened to my brother, I see some double standard here. And some of the comments he makes come as a surprise. And I'll just pick on one. He says that as a serious political party, they should not give room for comical conduct, people with questionable character. As a result of their respect for the good people of Ghana, they must put forward somebody who is serious. Of course, I agree with him that political leadership is a serious engagement. You need serious-minded people to take it up. Similarly, if you are engaging in some political partnership, you want parties to affiliate with your party, and you know that your political party is a serious political party, you also are careful with the choice of friends you have. NDC has Madam Ekwadonko as a friend. They get her on platforms to speak, lambast people, insult people. Mr. President travels with Madam Ekwadonko on serious diplomatic engagements. So that is where I have a problem. Because if in one breath you would not tolerate any party member whom in your view is not too serious to aspire for a leadership position in your party, why then, as in that same spirit, engage a person who is not so serious at all, claims to be a leader of a party, you give her a platform?
You think she's not serious because?
Oh, well, you hear Madam Ekwadonko. Her conduct does not need further emphasis. Okay? The way she speaks. If my NDC takes Madam Ekwa serious and they think that Ekwadonko must be on their platforms and that Madam Ekwadonko should be a partner for political convenience, then they should allow Edward Boateng to also contest. George Boateng should also contest. If they think Madam Ekwadonko is a serious person, if they think that Madam Ekwadonko must be traveling with Mr. President to Italy on diplomatic engagement, and that they respect the people of Ghana, and they think that they've profiled Madam Ekwadonko, they think that yes, this woman has what it takes to have a party partnering NDC, this woman has what it takes to join Mr. President on serious diplomatic engagement, then in that same spirit, they should allow...
But have they stopped him from running? They're just saying that the processes must be followed.
No, I listened to my brother carefully, and I believe that what he tried to put across was that, look, the party would not tolerate this man from even participating in the presidential internal presidential slot. Again, he went on to say that it would be suicidal, or it would be an exercise in futility for anybody to attempt to contest President Mahama. Why? Because to him, the man has performed so well, etc., etc., etc. I don't need to go further. I would want to just keep NDC in that small corner, judge them by their own conduct. On what basis do they tolerate Madam Ekwadonko? On what basis?
Okay, Felix,
well,
you answer that.
You see, Anaba, I'm sure you followed Ghanaian politics for quite some time. You are aware that in 2004, Dr. Kofi Konadu-Apreku attempted to contest President Kufuor. Indeed, we are told that he actually went as far as declaring that intention and even picking nomination from. But he was prevailed upon by party elders to step aside for President Kufuor to have safe passage. And on hands, I think it was a brilliant move, because sometimes you do, like I said, gatekeeping. You ensure that you don't rock the boat. Look at Dr. Konadu-Apreku's standing. By every standard, a decent and excellent politician. But even he was prevented from getting close to President Kufuor because the MPP thought that strategically it was better to allow the man to continue, given that he had the market, he had been marketed, he was the president of the country, and they felt that he had done enough to merit a second term. The same applies to the NDC. When you open up a process, the constitution stipulates so, our conventions and practices stipulate so, but is it the right thing to do at that time in terms of advancing the cause of the party?
So why do you open it for
again?
The presidential
No, of course you must meet some requirements. Again, if somebody shows up to contest the president at elections, are you telling me, Nanaba, that Mr. George Boateng, with the greatest respect to him, I don't mean in any way to denigrate him, is the sort of person who should be engaging in the sort of process that we've set up? I hold the view that out of respect for the people of this country, we should not allow that to happen in our party.
But he's a member of your party.
Yes, you are a member of the party, it is true. But we ought to be able to assess you, to see whether or not when we present you to the people of Ghana, we will be covering ourselves in glory as a party. All those considerations must go in. I do not have any difficulty with any party member contesting the president. Indeed, in 2011, Nana Akufo-Addo contested the sitting president. So the problem really is not about contesting the sitting president.
So it's the caliber.
It's the caliber of person.
Okay, but he brings in Ekwadonko.
Again, there's really no nexus at all.
How so?
Between Madam Ekwadonko and is it the MPP is fond of isolating persons who they find injurious to their fortunes as a party and vilifying them. That is essentially what
Madam Ekwadonko
has been extremely critical of their flag bearer and their party and their way of doing things. So she must be set up for insults and vilification. That is what it is. Nanaba, please.
How has she been insulted?
Nanaba, that is what it is. Again, you don't determine a man, somebody's substance simply because of language. She has a language difficulty. Nobody, especially when it comes to spoken English.
Okay.
But if you know her track record, you would know that she is not just anybody. She has done well for herself in the field that she chose. She's into farming, and I'm sure you know her from. So she's not somebody who just got up and became a politician. In any event, in politics, you form strategic alliances. If you form an alliance with somebody and it will be beneficial, there's nothing wrong with it. In their party, and I regret very much to have to do this, they have people who make statements that you cannot accept. Why? Honorable Isikwe. You record the statements that he used to make on political platforms. Some of them extremely vulgar, that I cannot repeat here. Yet, he was a member of parliament for them for about 3 terms. He became a minister of state. At his birthday, we all saw what transpired. There are certain members of parliament today who have said things that I cannot repeat here, whose conduct must be disavowed. But they are members of the party who are held in good standing. I do not want to go on to mention it because it may not be appropriate.
No,
just so that you don't pigeonhole people. But we all know that if it is merely about what people see, then there are many in their party who do not merit the positions that they currently occupy. But as a political party, when we engage in internal processes, at the end of the day, what we do must lead to the outcome that we expect. I'm saying that if 25 million people in a serious country like Ghana look at the NDC, and the NDC opens nominations for people to file to contest for the position of president of Ghana, or at the very least, flag bearer of the NDC to lead them into elections to become president of Ghana, Mr. Boateng is not the sort of person that we as a party should be encouraging to come near the point. When Nana Akufo-Addo came to contest President Mills, who could raise any doubt about her caliber, her standing, and the substance that she brought to that competition? In 2005 or thereabout, when Dr. Ekosipio Gabra, people like Mr. Edianan and the likes, Dr. Kwesi Botry, challenged President Mills, or Canadian Mills at the time, who could doubt their caliber? How would that process have detracted from the image of the NDC? Now, are you telling me that today, if Mr. Boateng goes to contest President Mahama, it doesn't take anything away from the NDC? It does. And the point I'm making is not about the fact that somebody wants to challenge President Mahama. Anybody who contests President Mahama will lose by an extremely wide margin, no doubt. But I'm saying that as a party, my personal view is that we should not countenance the sort of controversy and brouhaha that Mr. Boateng brings to the table. It doesn't mean that I am against his right as an individual to contest. I'm sure that the MPP, when he sues them, makes these considerations. Indeed, I'll be surprised if they don't make such considerations, because they will be letting down their membership if they don't do this minimal gatekeeping.
Yes. Okay, Alex.
Hey, Nanaba, very interesting morning. You see, Mr. Boateng, in one breath, he argues of gatekeeping, makes an argument of gatekeeping. In another sense, he tries to say that the man does not have the wherewithal to be given even the opportunity to participate. By the way, what does he know about Mr. George Boateng? He should share with us. Is he an ex-convict? Has he stolen anybody's property? Is he a fraudster? Hasn't he been to school before? You see Felix conveniently distinguishing the issue I put across. In one breath, Ekriadonko, do you know her background? She is a successful farmer. She has a language problem. And he has accepted Ekriadonko because Ekriadonko is able to unleash insults at the MPP. Wow. But isn't Mr. George Boateng criticizing the conduct of his own party? Isn't Mr. George Boateng questioning the president's competence? Isn't George Boateng raising issues of corruption in the party? Is it the reason why he's been denied? Because they don't want to give him the platform at all. Felix should be able to share with us what at all he finds wrong with George Boateng.
It's a caliber.
What caliber? He should define. To say that somebody has a questionable character. Caliber, what do you mean by caliber? Qualify it. What has he done wrong? The man, at least I've heard him, he speaks English. Is it the case that the man cannot speak English? He hasn't been to school. The man says he's a cadre. He started with the PNDC well before you were born. The man says that he is fought with the party, for the party, and in opposition, in government, he is seen it all. And when the man speaks, you see that, look, this is somebody who knows the inside out of the party. So what is wrong with George Boateng? Is it because you are getting paranoid of the criticisms coming from him? Is it that you don't want to tolerate all the criticisms? That is why you want to totally get him out of the way? So I really do not see it. I was expecting Felix to follow a very linear argument, be consistent. Then I can follow him. But if you say George Boateng is not the caliber of persons that people want, and that as a respect to Ghanaians, you as a party do not even have to entertain him to file. But in another breath, you are justifying why your party is in that strategic partnership with Ekwadonko. That one you don't consider it as a disrespect to Ghanaians, because there's somebody who mounts the platform and it's all about insulting the MPP, the opposition. Perhaps Felix must be given the opportunity to watch some of the videos of the things that Madam Ekwadonko has been saying about the MPP and find out whether indeed they are justified. Whether if the same person has said it against the NDC, they would have taken her serious. So if you think that such a character to you merits her being part of Mr. President's delegation to Italy, to be meeting Italian Prime Minister and Italian officials, and you come here and say that, well, it's justified to have Ekwadonko because you would benefit politically. Why are you not allowing George Boateng to participate? If you think that anybody who will contest President Mahama will lose and lose heavily, allow him, because he's a party member. Is it the case that the man is not a party member? Or because you think that this man is going to criticize the performance of this 7-year-old government to the extent that you are going to have serious bruises? So to curtail it, let's stop him today. Let's stop him so that he doesn't get the opportunity. Because you have issues with corruption, you have issues with this dumso, you have issues with unemployment, you have issues with people who would have to go and occupy the Controller and Accountant General's office before they get paid. You have issues with inconsistency and policy failures. You have issues with the IMF dictating to you how you should run this economy. Is it what you are afraid of? Is it what is getting you jittery? So let us follow it clearly. I think that yes, you can keep the gate, you can protect it as a policy. You don't want
your
so
party
many
wouldn't
people.
have done same.
Nanaba, you see, I would fundamentally agree with him on certain things. My party, and I agree that at a point in politics, you would want leadership to be protected. And I agree, no doubt. We did it. In fact, when we were even trying to say that, look, Nanado, 2008, 2012, we had issues with the elections. The man still wants to contest, so let's all endorse him. The NDC criticized us. You heard them as if they were part of our party. They were all over the place. At a point, they were even campaigning for, from their language, it was like an indirect campaign for one of the contestants. But we were able to go through it all. So I thought that in their time, they would open it for everybody. But immediately after our primaries,
you can't open the gates that way.
I agree. But you see, if you know that you yourself cannot open the gate that wide, keep quiet when somebody is trying to run his party in a certain manner. But if you come out so loud, Felix, don't be looking at your watch.
Oh, don't
keep
worry,
quiet and allow you to talk.
Go ahead and take your point.
If you open your mouth that wide, poke your nose into somebody's business, then it gets to you and you realize that, oh, after all, you yourself, you also want to ensure some sanity. Because even where we had a two-stage process, the super delegate and the second one where some leaders were saying that, look, Nanado had done so well in the super delegates, Mr. Chemantin and others should allow him to go unopposed. The NDC became the loudest. Why are we stopping others from contesting? Aren't we those people, the ones who have been talking about democracy and order? They are also saying they are a democratic party. So why are they today saying that, oh, let's find a way of protecting our leader? Why? Why are they not open?
Okay.
No,
Felix, how would you react to these assertions that
I'm coming to your point.
You are an intolerant party?
That's
why you're stopping this
the argument that I have made against Mr. Boateng's emergence is not so much one of attempting to protect the leader, as in President Mahama, as it is one in an effort to preserve the sanctity, integrity, and credibility of the political party, the National Democratic Congress. That is what the argument is. Again, I mentioned to you in times past the caliber of persons who have sought to challenge our then candidate Mills and then subsequently President Mills. The problem really was not that there was a contest. Of course, you can have a strategic argument, whether or not it even makes sense to put your president up for contest. It's a decision that you can make internally and decide that no, for this and that reason, let the president go unopposed, as they did in 2004. It worked for them. They had victory in 2004. But subsequent to this, we in the NDC are in fact the first party to open up the race for another person to contest a certain president in 2011. So it is not that we are afraid of contest. I am saying that when you have contest, you have political parties who are supposed to embody the aspirations and hopes of the people. You ought to conduct yourself in a way that shows respect to the people that you want to lead. So when you open up a process for contest, do you want just anybody, and I don't say this at all in a demeaning way, to show up to contest simply because you have opened up a process? Or you act in a way that suggests that you are taking the people of this country seriously? He keeps on referring to what he perceives to be an insult. I'm saying that if the yardstick was about what people have said, I don't think that there are many people in their party who merit the position. Nanaba, there's nothing that Madam Ekuadonko has said that is worse than what Kennedy Japan has said in the past. There's nothing. And the evidence is glaring. I don't need to repeat what has been said by Kennedy Japan. I don't need to repeat what has been said by ICQ and many, many other people in their party. But beyond what they have said, we all know that they've had something to contribute to their party. Mr. Japan remains a member of parliament. He is going for his third term, if I'm not mistaken.
No, fourth
term. Honorable ICQ was there for many years. He became a minister of state. You can have difficulties with his conduct, but the fact that he had contributed to the MPP and brought something to the table cannot be disputed. In any event, he stood for election and won. So that is there. However, again, when you are having an internal contest as a party, you cannot prevent outsiders from criticizing you. So if the MPP decided to give Nanado safe passage, and political commentators or people within the NDC believe that it is not the appropriate thing to do, at least from the standpoint of an outsider, you can't begrudge them their right to criticize you. Again, how can you even begin to compare the caliber of Mr. Alan Chemantin, people like Mr. Isaac Osei, Professor Frimpong Boating, Professor Michael Kwe, to Mr. George Boating? How can you even begin to do that kind of comparison? So I am saying that it is in our interest as a party that we are not seen to be cheapening the presidential ticket and lowering the standards so that anybody at all gets up and wants to cut some popularity. No. You see, Nanaba,
you say you're lowering the standard. What? Tell us, share with us.
I know him. Beyond that, he has conducted, even since he picked the nomination for, you've heard him. Some of his policies include legalizing marijuana for export. Only last week, he said that he will make Nana Akufo-Addo his running mate if he emerges as NDC presidential candidate. That immediately should tell you that this is not the sort of person you should be tolerating. He will make the flag bearer.
He says corruption is rife in the NDC.
Nanaba, I will address the issues that what Alex raised concerning what he thinks are the ills of our society.
Well, that's what he said.
You tell me that when a man emerges and says that I am going to contest the flag bearership of the NDC, when I win, I will make the flag bearer of the opposition party the man who wants to become president, who has tried about 4 times to become president. I will make him my vice presidential candidate. Not that when I win, I will make him vice president.
But Professor Moss once said he was going to make certain laws, MPP leaders, his ministers.
He got carried away.
He got carried away. So it should tell you the caliber of person we are.
I haven't heard that one.
Again,
I've heard the marijuana.
Yeah,
and I've heard the corruption.
Last week, anybody can shout corruption. Okay, anybody.
But he's in your party.
Anybody.
He says that he knows your party through and through.
Listen to me. Anybody at all can shout corruption. So if I consider somebody for election as flag bearer, I will not consider the hackneyed, claims.
You think it's hackneyed?
That the opposition makes that he also latches onto. I will look at substance.
But he's in the party.
Yes, nobody has said that. Nanaba, listen to me.
Privy to certain information.
Nanaba, listen to me. I'm saying that nobody disputes the fact that he is in the party. He plays some role at some level in the party. There's no dispute about that. But I'm saying that if there's anybody out there who believes that when a serious political party like the NDC or the MPP or the CPP or the PNC opens up nominations.
Are you afraid of this?
Oh, Nana, but how can we be afraid of somebody like this? With the greatest respect to him. Listen, Honorable Alban Bagbin, did he not criticize President Mahama in the initial stages of this government? Indeed, some of us in government even had cause to disagree with him as well. But have I not sat here to extol his virtues and insisted that I believe that he should be maintained for the Nadoli Kalio seat? Because he has used a certain caliber. He brings something to the table. Dr. Ekospi Gabra, has he not in the past criticized the NDC? But he has been integrated into government and he's playing a very important role in government as we speak. So the issue is not about criticism or disagreement with the president. Anybody who contests President Mahama, I am 100% sure of that, will suffer humiliating defeat. So when I speak about gatekeeping, it is not intended to protect President Mahama or give him safe pass, but it is simply intended to preserve the sanity and integrity of, and indeed the entire electoral process of the country. We have had instances where people have gone to the Electoral Commission of States in Chalwati to file nomination forms and they fall in short. I mean, we have to get straight.
I think we also appeared on the Electoral Commission.
Absolutely, but it's Nanaba.
Didn't smack of any seriousness.
The mistake you make is that Ekuyadonko is an external entity as far as the NDC is concerned. He is not a member of. Sorry, she's not.
But you are done.
Listen, Nanaba, listen. She is not a member of the NDC. Her conduct is not subject to our dictates. You understand me? If Nanaba, listen to me. Nanaba, listen to me. The point I'm making is that if we open up a process and somebody like Madam Ekuyadonko comes and she clearly falls short of the criteria, there's no way we are going to let her go through. That is a fact of life. If the MPP conducts themselves like that, anybody at all can be removed.
So you laughed at her because she's been criticizing the MPP.
I'm saying that criticism of the MPP cannot constitute a basis for excluding people from the process.
It's not actually criticism, it's insults.
Now I'm saying that insults poured on Ghanaians by Kennedy Japan, ICQ and Co. have not deterred the MPP from making them integral parts.
So it is right.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's again. It depends on what you even perceive as an insult.
Oh, really?
You understand me? You can say that she has harshly criticized.
Listen to me.
Nanaba, listen to me. But I'm saying that Kennedy Japan, Nanado himself, all the leaders of the
Nanado
NPP,
has insulted anyone?
Oh, what does Nanado perceive as an insult from Mekamika? Can you name one?
Well, some of the things she has said, I cannot repeat. I cannot repeat on TV.
There are things that Nanado has said too that I cannot repeat on TV.
I haven't heard those ones. I've heard what...
There are things that Nanado has said that I cannot repeat on TV. Really? There are things Kennedy Japan has said that I can't repeat. There are things ICQ has said.
And you find all that wrong.
But I'm saying that those things, but those things have not deterred the MPP from holding these individuals in high esteem. It can certainly not be the reason why they would isolate, single out Madam Ekuyadonko for all the abuse that they are pouring on her. But we in the NDC have a right to sanitize our ticket and slot. If the MPP is not interested in that, that is their problem. But we in the NDC are interested in preserving the image and the credibility of our party. Okay. So whatever we need to do to ensure that we continue to have the confidence of Ghanaians continue to have trust in us, and that we show them respect, we will do. I don't think that anybody can fault us. It is not because we want to protect the leader. Our leader needs no protection because he will floor anybody who contests him and move on to floor Nanado, as he did in 2012.
Well, it appears that the only way to preserve the integrity of their party and show respect to Ghanaians is to give exclusive platform to Madame Ekuyadonko to insult people.
Well, they don't provide her the platform to
because so far
she has her own party.
She has her own platform. Yeah, she has her own platform.
Oh, your problem is she being tagged along with the president despite her utterances.
Of course, apart from that, she's used every platform provided her by the NDC.
She has her own platform
to do her own thing. And so far, Felix has justified why Madam Ekuyadonko has been saying what she's been saying. By the way, ICQ has never insulted Ghanaians, and yes, ICQ has never.
Some of his utterances on campaign platforms have been everything but good.
In the past. Nanaba, to put it bluntly, so I'm sorry to cut him. I beg you, just allow me this minute.
1 second.
Now she's used. Sorry, my Mr. ICQ, and again I regret to have to mention this. Has used vulgar, not just critical language, vulgar language that I cannot repeat.
I know.
Yes, you know what
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're.
Perhaps you don't remember, but that is a fact.
Maybe you don't remember, but it's been terrible. It doesn't mean that the Ekweadonko utterances are
wrong. No, it is no justification for any repetition of that. I'm not.
You see, we are making an analysis of a matter in a certain context.
Exactly.
By the way, can Felix conveniently also tell us whether there are people in the NDC who on campaign platforms have also said things in equal measure that are so vicious and that also contain vulgar language? Can he tell us? Because I can at least point to Mr. Asedun Katia himself, who has said all manner of things. All right? There are many. But at this stage, we are dealing with the issue of opening nomination, and he talking about Mr. George Boateng. He seeks to explain to Ghanaians today that, look, as a result of respect to you as the people who give us a mandate, we don't want somebody with some questionable character.
No, it's not about questionable character. I'm not
somebody who doesn't...
A certain caliber, who doesn't meet the bill. It's not about his character. Yeah. It's not about his character.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me quote you then.
Yes.
Somebody who doesn't meet the minimal standard to have the
and that will not be tolerated in any part.
It should not. It should not. In a respected.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He has not told us. You see, you continue to talk as if you are a diplomat. You saying something and putting out nothing. What is it? You see, in the case of Ekweadonko, Phyllis just said, look, don't you know she's a successful farmer?
Absolutely.
She told you.
Yeah.
We don't know. But this
I know she's a successful farmer.
Oh, no, you may know she's a farmer, Nanaba.
No. I've interviewed her and I've seen her farm.
Nanaba.
She's a successful farmer. She employs a number of people on that farm.
Nanaba, you have not gone to a farm.
How do you know? I'm telling you that I know the woman.
Nana, you said interview.
I am upset with some of the things she says and how
let me proceed. Let me proceed.
But she does a good job in her area.
Nanaba, let me proceed.
Please proceed.
Felix tells us that Ekweadonko is a successful farmer.
Yeah.
You have agreed to that.
She is.
No problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
But as to what one considers to qualify her to be a successful farmer, we'll visit that later. Then he goes further to justify why they engage Ekweadonko on their platform. And goes further to say that, look, maybe the woman has a problem with the English language. But that notwithstanding, they think she is a formidable partner. Now he should tell us, in equal measure, what he considers wrong with Mr. George Boateng.
But Ekweadonko is not a member of that.
She's a leader of a political party. So the criteria and standards.
So don't you think that if you want to show respect, you want to show respect to Ghanaians, you should choose your friends
merely because she's critical to Nana. Merely because she's critical of
Felix, you don't want me to talk.
Merely because she's critical of
Nana. In choosing your friends, you should know the kind of friends. If you don't want to entertain even your own party people, okay, to aspire
of a certain caliber,
of course, of a certain caliber that you would not want to define on this platform, but you continue to say lowering the standard of a certain caliber. You in your own party, you are not ready to entertain party members.
No,
but people.
In any case, she appears to be President Mohammed's best friend.
But what is the issue here? Madam Ekweadonko is a leader of a political party.
We know that.
Okay, whether we like it or not, she's regarded as such. Indeed, in the scheme of things, when it
it appears. No, Felix, please. Let me just finish the issue. So now you are trying to close the door on George. You've not been able to tell us what George has done wrong or what standard George has.
But honestly, have you listened to George?
Oh, Nanaba, I've listened to George.
And
I'm not in a position.
Nanaba,
I'm not in a position to run him down. At least what I know.
I just want you to concede.
I think he's fair. Okay,
he's fair.
I think he's fair. He's living up to the reality of this government's performance. Now, George is a reflection of the ordinary Ghanaians' view on this government. He talks about incompetence. He talks about non-performance. All right? He talks about issues that has been consistent with what President Rawlings has been saying all along. President Rawlings has been criticizing this government, President Rawlings has been talking about internal corruption. President Rawlings has been talking about misguided policies. It's the same thing that George is repeating. Okay. And I'm saying that because George is saying things that the NDC thinks would put it in a very difficult situation, it is trying to stop him now. Because they gave him the forms. He says that he went for the forms. They gave him the forms. He has not said he cannot afford the 50,000 or so. Why do you try to gag him? Why do you try to create the impression that he did not?
Gagged, though.
No,
he just didn't go through the process properly.
No.
He got a draft copy. Who uses a draft copy anyway?
Hey, So the man has gone for his forms.
He bought a draft.
All of a sudden, they have found a way to say it's a draft copy. Who gave it to him? No.
A very good question.
If it's a draft,
who gave him the party for years?
Who gave him the draft?
Better.
All of a sudden, you want to stop it. Let me finish.
Unless it's really going around.
Who gave him the so-called draft? Are you saying that at the time you open nomination, you have not completed the processes and that you still have some draft forms? By the way, even if it's a draft, an official of the party has given it to him, and he's going to fill it and submit same.
And this official is supposed to know better.
Of course.
Anyway.
So if you think that was a draft, call him back and replace it for him.
Is the gentleman not an assign?
See, our general secretary explained exactly what happened. To get nomination forms for the presidential elections, he or his designated official must give it to you.
So the gentleman was not designated.
All the forms that are given out, to the extent that it is a presidential election form, will bear the seal of the general secretary in order to make it authentic. So if a party official at the lower level does not go through this laid down process and purports to act on behalf of the party, and it is determined that what he did runs contrary to party rules, we can shoot it down. There's no dispute about that. But the final point really is that we in the NDC, as a political party, we reserve the right to set standards. So when we open a contest like this and you do not meet it, it is our duty to ensure that the people of Ghana are not saddled with people whose conduct, temperament, and standing.
Is it now he has brought the language?
Listen.
What is his conduct?
Please, Ranaba.
What is his temperament?
Do not put them in proper light to be able to become leaders.
No, you have been unfair to Mr.
I'm not being unfair.
Felix, you have been unfair to Mr. George. He has not gone through the vetting process.
Indeed, if Alex were to cut out the propaganda that he seeks to do with what Mr. Boati has, I'm not even going to respond to it because we all know exactly where he's coming from. If he will cut it out, he would agree that no political party should lower the standards so much as to see the sort of degenerating that we've seen in the end.
But the man didn't do anything wrong.
It is not about the
man has gone for a form.
Doing anything wrong.
They try to kick him out by saying
they are going to lead a country.
All right.
A country that has many difficulties. You cannot afford.
Okay. So what is wrong with George Boati?
I'm saying that
you have not told us.
Does not mean
he doesn't mean that.
What is it that he has not met?
I'm saying that he says that he will make you your flag bearer.
No, that you have not heard. When did he say that?
You wouldn't hear.
No, when did he say that one?
You wouldn't hear.
But if that is what you claim he said, you've forgotten that when Professor Mills was campaigning in 1999, he said non-MPP leaders will be made ministers.
But he didn't say that he was making
listen. Oh, listen to me. Now. Mr. Pampianim was a renowned economist. If President Mills says so, when I win, irrespective of Mr. Pianim's political affiliation, I will make him a member of my government on the basis of his experience and proven competence. How do you compare such a statement to a claim that I will make the flag bearer?
When did he make that statement?
He made it only last week.
Only last week.
No. Never been interested in assessing the man. You are saying that way around what he's alleged to have said.
Okay, let's move on. Enough. Some residents of
have not told us what is
we'll
wrong
come back to politics because we'll be talking about the NPP very soon. But this story is very important.
There's a lot to talk about regarding the NPP.
You can't wait. Some residents of Odumasi near Konongo in the Ashanti region have resorted to in-house mining instead of open pit mining that most small-scale and illegal miners engage in. In-house mining involves the digging of holes in houses to enable miners to enter the bowels of the earth to search for gold. They do that in an attempt to outwit security officials. It's a very serious story because I'm going to show you the picture. This is somebody's home, and guess what they have done in the house? Very dangerous.
Well, I mean, it clearly poses a danger to the practitioners of this trade. Because the hole they've dug can kill you. I'm not too sure what support mechanisms may be buttressing the sides of the hole. Beyond that, they could also endanger the lives of occupants of the house. If there's a child there, for instance, who is unaware of the existence of this hole and he happens to fall into it, it could lead to serious injury or death. Even adults could fall victim to the dangers that this particular hole poses. But it puts into focus the need for us as a country perhaps to do more to curb this phenomenon of illegal mining. Often people have sought to use unemployment and economic circumstances to justify this illicit, if you like, activity. I do not agree with those who hold that view. Because indeed there is something called artisanal mining or small-scale mining, where you regularize your operations and the state recognizes you. You work within laid-down regulations and you conduct your affairs in a manner that is consistent with procedure and law and what have you. Even beyond then, the state can even derive revenue, because once you make profit, you pay revenue, you pay taxes for your employees and what have you. So let us not confuse the two. That if you want to engage in small-scale mining, there is a process through which you have to go. And once you do that, you can practice legitimately. The places where you operate will be properly demarcated, and efforts will be made to ensure that you do not in any way endanger the environment and those who live within the vicinity that you are practicing. But illegal miners want to circumvent lay-down procedure. They would often tout unemployment and economic reasons for what they are doing. But that is wrong, because there can be no justification for wrongdoing. So whilst this happening in a home is worrying enough, it raises a larger issue of the need to further regulate the activity of this. The security agencies have done their best in the circumstances to curb this illegal mining, which we popularly refer to as galamsey. You recall that efforts were made.
The task force.
Exactly, the task force. But you see, again, it's a problem that is hydra-headed. Ghana is a vast country. Unfortunately, in spite of the best efforts of the security agencies, they are not able to be everywhere at every time. So there are some who may close their operations because the security agencies are on their heels and relocate elsewhere. But that is where we as citizens also have a role to play. We also need to cooperate with the security agencies. For instance, the neighbors of this particular individual who dug this hole in this house, if they were aware of it and alerted the security, I'm not too sure whether they informed the police or the police simply chanced upon it. But whatever the case may be, the point I'm making is that if we become aware of such illegal conduct, we could endanger our own lives and the lives of others in society. We should be quick to alert the security agencies to deal with it in an expeditious manner so that we forestall any danger. But we ought to, as a people, agree that we will operate within laid-down procedure and we won't have a problem.
Alex.
Yes.
Baba, this galamsey business is affecting our economy. And I must commend government for the task force is set up to deal with all illegal mining activities. But I'm afraid because perhaps certain opinion leaders have not cooperated with government and the task force, their efforts haven't been that successful. And it's affecting cocoa production in this country. I'll give you my own example. My great-grandfather has a farm in Asin. And about 3 months, one of the Asin towns, 2 months ago, my cousins came to me that they needed money to go and buy a bulldozer. Or an excavator, they call it. And I asked for what purpose. They said, oh, they've had some Chinese and they want to, the people are making money. So they are no more interested in the cocoa business. Instead of farming, people are now building houses because they are cutting down their cocoa trees because of these mining activities. I turned them down. That this farm is over 80 years. The old man left it. People have come, they farmed it, and you are on it. You want to convert it into a galamsey site. But I'm told by some of my aunties that in spite of my own warnings and denying them money to buy an excavator, they've actually gone ahead to get some microfinance firm to give them money. And as we speak, my own great-grandfather's cocoa farm, which is over 80 years old, is being converted to an illegal mining site. It's a problem. And this one, I'm appealing to chiefs, opinion leaders. It is not, this has nothing to do with government. All right? President Kufuor's time, this illegal mine Galamsey, he made efforts because some chiefs will not allow it. It affected the government's ability to deal with it. And we hear government is procuring loans to ensure that cocoa production is boosted. Ivory Coast overtook us many years back. We are no more the #1 producer of cocoa in Africa or in the world. And our cocoa production is going down. Government procures at a cost. And if our farmers are not being encouraged to expand, and our farmers are falling to people who are baiting them to convert their farms into some of these Galamsey operations, it's a problem. It is not only the responsibility of government, it is the responsibility of all of us. So I would urge all stakeholders to cooperate so that we stop some of this. You see, now they are doing it in the homes. Our water bodies have already been destroyed. Yeah. So let us find a solution to illegal mining activities. Else, eventually, cocoa that has been giving us money will not get what the necessary tonnage in harvesting. We wouldn't also not get potable water to drink. Yeah. People will get all manner of infections and other, all because of some small gold dust that we want. Again, the Chinese are still here. Yeah. The Chinese are still here. They are still operating now. You find a lot of them in Central Region. I'm told the Gomoa areas, people have started doing illegal mining. And a lot of them
that got repatriated have actually found their way
back. They are back. Yeah. What are we doing? Yeah. So this one, our opinion leaders at the various communities, please, this has nothing to do with politics, because if we don't solve it today, it started some years back. If we don't stop it today, tomorrow there may be a change of government. It would come up again. I don't want to engage in double standard. We need to end this illegal mining activity. It is not going to help. If you want to get into mining, please go through the proper procedure, get licensed, and then don't go and cut down somebody's cocoa tree, a farm.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. We'll concentrate on the Daily Guide and the Ghanaian Times. Page 3 of the Ghanaian Times headline: Freddie Blay rubbishes charges as he writes to police CID. Page 3 of the Daily Guide. No secret NPP accounts. That's according to Freddie Blay. About that story, I'm not a thief, Nanado declares. On page 18, a statement of Honorable Blay to the NEC subcommittee. And it's on, is it a letterhead? You're a lawyer.
No, that's all right.
What is this? Ekufuado, Prempe, and Co. Why it's coming from Nanado's chambers? We'll find out pretty soon. Why?
Oh, go ahead.
Are you gagging me?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't understand your question. That's why.
No, I wasn't asking you a question. I was just wondering.
Oh, you said that, is this? No, you asked me.
Okay, so is this?
No, you asked me. But you've answered it yourself.
Okay, true. So it is.
I don't know. Let's finish.
Okay, let's start with.
Why all those smile of mystery?
Oh, I'm amused by your attempt to conceal.
What am I concealing? The person was asking me a question. What am I concealing?
That is going in the MPP.
Oh, come on.
The latest installment in the murky soap opera.
Come on, it will not help you.
Okay.
So let's discuss it. Let's decide.
It will not help you.
Okay, let the people of Ghana decide whether
it will not help you.
They want a party.
Okay, calm down.
I'm calm.
Okay.
I'm ready to answer questions.
So you read Mr. Freddie Blay's response.
Yes,
his letter to the CID.
I read it yesterday.
Okay, what did you make of it?
Nanaba, permit me to start off this way. You know, in the fight for independence, in the fight against apartheid in South Africa, it got to a point where the leadership of the ANC got so divided. There was some mistrust. Mandela himself, after he was released, in several documentaries that I've watched, raised a number of issues where his colleagues were accusing him here and there. He has taken bribes. He was taking wine, drinking tea with the white folks. Many of the leaders of ANC did not agree on a number of issues. But you know what? The grassroots, the ordinary South African, was ready to continue the fight for independence. Let me concede by saying that there are challenges among some of our leaders, which seem to be becoming a problem. Perhaps the way it's being handled. However, I take comfort in the resolve by our foot soldiers in their quest for power. Last week, Tuesday, there was a manifestation of this, where a lot of, though this district assembly elections is non-partisan, but we had a lot of our party people who were winning their elections. And for at least, if I can speak for Winneba, most of the people who were campaigning, you go around, they say, well, your MPP far. So MPP is our motto. You get my point. Ordinarily, they should have assessed people on their own weight. And I'm saying that if today in Winneba, out of 18 seats, MPP people who stood had 13 and NDC had just 5. And across the country, you hear the numbers are looking good for MPP. I can assure you that it gives us the comfort to continue with our campaign, and fortified by the flag bearers' desire to get power. I can assure you that all these that you see are merely a storm in a teacup. Now let me come back to the point. Perhaps you would want me to still address it. It is true that there have been issues with this account at EcoBank. But like Mr. Blaise counsel has said, this is not a new account. Once again, as a result of perhaps some of the misunderstanding, at the time that certain mandates, that mandate card was supposed to be changed, perhaps certain people did not sign. So eventually he and the treasurer signed. But once again, I would have expected the national executives to have sat down, to have looked at what the Ghanaian people are suffering from. Ghanaian people want a change. To now say, look, let's forget about our egos. Let's forget about our individual differences. Let's resolve this and move on. We have a situation where perhaps Mr. Afoko and the General Secretary feel that, look, Freddie Blaise and others at our throats. Let us also fight back. When this call for resignation came up, I think the worries of Mr. Afoko and co were that, look, some members of the National Executive did not come to their aid by way of, talking down on the issue, but perhaps they were also encouraging others to boot them out. So there is that tension. I believe that there are senior members of the party who are working on all these things. I am also worried that Mr. Blaise has instructed counsel to write to the police. Last week, I followed the story, and he made a very technical point that, look, the police does not have the mandate to invite people.
They don't?
Who are, yes. By law, police cannot invite a suspect. You arrest a suspect. The police can invite a witness or somebody whom they consider like a complainant in a matter, or somebody who they think can assist them in investigating a matter. You can be invited, and as part of your constitutional duties as a citizen of Ghana, you go to the police. However, if somebody is a suspect, you don't invite him, you arrest him. I think that as part of courtesy for some big men, the police will normally say, we are inviting you, come on your own. Now let me also deal with the other issue of the complaint. You see, initially I thought that it was the national chairman or the general secretary who lodged the complaint. But having realized that a certain Ba Chamfo, who is also a member of our party, was a complainant, I now question, on what did he complain? Has his money been stolen? Has anybody committed any fraud against him? If it's about the party, he's worried about an account in the party. At least the party itself has set up a committee to address the concerns as raised by the national chairman at the last NEC meeting. So to me, Mr. Bachanfo going to the police, although under normal circumstances he has the right to go to the police to make a complaint for investigations to be done, which I wouldn't have a problem. But the way and manner, the very issue that is getting him to go to the police, I have a problem. And again, there are people who feel that, because if you read the Daily Guide editorial, it is a direct attack on Mr. Afoko. There are people who believe that Mr. Afoko is using Bachanfo as a conduit. I would urge ceasefire. Daily Guide, henceforth, I would humbly, plead with them to avoid making publications that seek to undermine others in the party, no matter what. They may disagree with the conduct of the General Secretary. They may disagree with the conduct of Mr. Afoko. But like I said last week, these are not walkovers or pushovers. If you hit them, they will fight back. At the end of the day, who suffers? We have our flag bearer who has started his tour. All our attention should be on the flag bearer. Now, last week, Tuesday, I sent some WhatsApp to a good friend of mine who has been supporting me all this while. And he didn't read. I could see that the man has not read my WhatsApp. And just today is Monday. Saturday, I was home when I saw that he had read my WhatsApp. Then he replied, with this heartbreaking attitude, do you expect me to support you? Anyway, congratulations. I'm told you have won 13 out of 18 seats. So later we spoke. He said he deliberately decided not to read my WhatsApp. He knew I was going to ask him for money. And if the flag bearer has started a tour and everybody is looking up to what would come out of it, and suddenly people are doing this, it's very heartbreaking. I understand many people. I had the opportunity of meeting a certain godfather, and when he was walking me into my car, the wife said, "Hey, Alexo, what are you saying? US now?" And I asked, what was he trying to say? That the conduct of some of our leaders is breaking their hearts. I would urge our leaders. Egos, I have my own issues, but I've managed to overcome same. Because if you want to respond to the conduct of somebody in the party, that person who does not think about the party's interest, you end up also speaking, getting emotional, and you lose it, and the party becomes a loser. I urge all our leaders, all our senior members, to calm down. The bigger interest of the party is very paramount. Ghanaians want a change. Ghanaians want a new leadership to run or steer the affairs of this country. Let us give the Ghanaian people that opportunity to enjoy our governance.
Is it another?
Then let us give our friends. Oh, let me finish. You have please. 8 o'clock. Please. We have I should have a safe landing.
Okay, land safely in 30 seconds.
All right.
Don't let us give our people who are failed, who do not know governance, who are being dictated to by the IMF. Don't let us give them the opportunity to think that there's a window of ventilation for them.
Okay, let's go to Felix.
You see, all these happenings in the MPP, especially regarding this latest tussle over the management of party finances, are a direct manifestation of Nana Akufo-Addo's disastrous leadership.
Come on.
Nanado, please.
No, Nanado
is subject to this. Stop this.
No. Nanaba, with the greatest respect. Things happen in the NDC. Party offices are being bent down. Damn and go. We have executive. But Felix, you are my brother.
Yes.
But let's be fair. Enough fair. He should make his point. But you see, this attack on you shouldn't narrow it to Nanado. That is unfair.
If in opposition,
Felix,
Felix,
you are in government. No, I hear. But it's unfair.
You cannot tolerate criticism of your flag bearer. Then
what is it? Oh, come on. Look at where is that? I'm not tolerating. But you are being unfair.
Let me make my point, please. I'm saying that these latest manifestations in the MPP are a direct result of Nana Addo's disastrous leadership.
Why?
Nana he clearly has been the weakest leader.
How?
That the MPP has. Listen, Nana, but the MPP, at least in its current form, has existed since 1991. They've had Professor Dubois, they've had President Kufuor, and they've had Nana Addo. At no time in that history, spanning about 22 years, or if like 24 years, has the MPP been in as worse a shape as they are now. This is the worst shape ever that the MPP has been in, at least in their current manifestation since 1991. Nanaba, since Nana Addo was elected, since this national executive was put in place, they have lurched from crisis to crisis. Hardly a week passes by without you hearing of some confrontation within the party. They are unable to manage party affairs. I mean, only last week I had Nana Addo claiming that they have the men and women to offer first-class governance. But here is a case where they've not even provided minimal leadership in their party. Minimal leadership in their party. You have a situation where
it's not a problem they cannot deal with.
But it's a problem that has lingered. It is a problem that has lingered for over a year. Since this executive was installed, every week we hear a new dimension to the imbroglio in that party. Again, look at the approach that they've adopted to solving this matter. We are talking about financial malfeasance. And all that first of all, there's been deathly silence from the flag bearer. The man who goes around claiming that the government that he seeks to... Nanaba, please. I'm saying that he, as leader, ought to have made definite pronouncement abhorring what has happened. What we've had is an attempt to cover up. Indeed, even the committee that they have set up to investigate this matter, only last week, a member of that committee, Honorable Joe Wise, or Sewusu, came out to claim that they are not even investigating this matter. They have even denied the very matter that they have been set up to investigate. You have a situation where there's absolutely no respect for the leadership of the party. Anybody at all can get up and lampoon the general secretary, the flag bearer, the national chairman, council of elders. Absolutely no order in that party. So today, when Ghanaians scan the political horizon, you know what they see? They see the NDC, led by genial, gentle President Mahama, backed by a formidable party machinery that, in spite of difficulties that we have, is delivering on many, many critical areas. Then they see what is supposed to be the alternative. That is beset by chaos, disorder, disunity, violence, and in some instances, blatant disregard for law. That is the two comparisons that Ghanaians have to make. And it is not too difficult, in my view, for people to choose which party they ought to be with. You see, I spoke about standards in the earlier round where we spoke about Mr. Boateng's attempt to enter our race. And I said that political parties owe the people of this country a certain minimum standard of conduct. What Ghanaians look out for in an opposition party is that, as myself and Alex are engaged in this debate, he tells me, for instance, on education, on health, on finances, on the budget deficit, for instance, this is our party's position, and that the NDC has done A, B, C, D, which we think is inimical to the interests of the country. And these are our alternatives. We can argue about the merit or the merits of it. But constantly when the MPP has been in the news, what has it been about? People wielding machetes in their headquarters. Acid being poured on the chairman. The regional chairman the general secretary and national chairman go to their parties to hold meetings with party people. They are attacked. Now we are hearing that they are jostling for control over party resources. There are allegations that people have withdrawn monies without recourse to due process. People have embezzled. I heard Mr. Bankwa, the national treasurer, last week claim that there's some outstanding 1.3 million Ghana cedis that has not been accounted for because Mr. Afoko and Mr. Ejapon unilaterally withdrew monies from there to do things that they have not accounted for. This is the national treasurer, and you should have heard the way that he was speaking about senior party officials like the general secretary and the national chairman. And in all of this imbroglio, there is supposed to be a leader, a flag bearer. Let me repeat it. When flag bearers are elected, they are not props for elections. It's not like this thing that you have behind you to augment this program. They are not just fixtures that will be presented at elections. They are supposed to embody the soul, the heart of the party. And a leader who is unable to deal with issues like this has no business seeking the mandate of the people. But how is it that you have a leader who sits at home for these things to happen? Is it not possible for a leader to control his cabinet? For instance, Nana Addo becomes president. In the extremely unlikely event that he becomes president, there's a dispute in cabinet and he cannot assert control. What we hear are about these disagreements in public where people say what they want. He cannot bring any level of control. But then again, Anaba, we will be expecting too much if we expect him to act, because he is at the center of this whole imbroglio. He weighs a mandate of 94%. Rather than see that the bigger picture is more important, so accommodate all those who may not have supported your bid, he resorted to victor's justice. In other words, let me crush any internal opposition because I am certain that Nanaba, you see, I'm analyzing what has happened. And you see, in this instance, let me commend Alex a bit. At least he shows a certain level of candor. He expresses frustration.
He brings back the
No, it's true. I mean, let me make the point that at least initially he was in denial. But increasingly, he is warming up to the idea that he needs to be candid. The truth is that Alex will admit, you will admit, everybody watching us will admit that the MPP has not behaved well in the last year. And that if you look out to see a political opposition that is responsible, that is responsive to the needs of the electorate, who are supposed to keep government in check and, if you like, embody the aspirations of those who believe that government is not on the right path, the MPP has not offered that. It is the blatant truth. It may be a painful truth, but that is the truth nonetheless. And there's no way that with about a year and a half to elections, you can conduct yourself this way and expect that the people of Ghana will march to the polls and select you. Let him not deceive himself with the results of these assembly elections. First of all, they are not partisan elections. Again, people look at personal choices, what they like about a candidate or not, and make that decision. But if they think that in the midst of this confusion, this rudderless motion that they are in, this leaderless direction that they've chosen, this impotence by their entire leadership to bring sanity to bear on their party's affairs, Ghanaians will troop and vote for them. They are grossly mistaken. Today, President Mahama will pick his nomination forms. Will file his nomination forms, all things being equal. That is after he has received the Nigerian president.
Will he file it himself?
Yes, he will be there himself. After that, he will address members of the NDC who no doubt will gather there. But when Ghanaians assess President Mahama and look at what he has done, in spite of the difficulties we have, and the way that he has managed the NDC, so that today the NDC is a cohesive force, united behind him, and they look at the tattered states of the MPP, it becomes obvious where the choice is. So Nanado cannot escape blame. Alex may be uncomfortable, but there's no way that today, if the NDC was in turmoil, President Mahama can escape blame. It is not possible. Otherwise, there's no need for leaders. Let us have a situation where there are 5 doms. Everybody goes to pick his constituency and manage their affairs. Nanado must show leadership. In as far as I'm concerned, Nanado has not done so since he was elected.
Would that be a fair comment that Nanado cannot escape blame?
He cannot escape blame.
This letter is coming from his chamber.
No, but let me make I beg you, before you come. You see, again, I don't even think that the chambers from which it comes is the truth is that Mr. Gofedami has been Mr. Freddie Blade's lawyer for quite some time. So even if he was not, and only yesterday Mr. Freddie Blade decided that he wants to get a lawyer from there, it doesn't, for me, change the situation. What is important is that Mr. Freddie Blade, the entire leadership, led by Nanado of the MPP, have failed woefully. They have let down their supporters. And if I were an MPP member, I'll be extremely angry. Nanaba, he just recounted the feelings of a benefactor who is willing to support the party but is having cold feet because of this conduct. Indeed, and it is justified. Nanaba, we have kept on saying that the issues will be resolved, but the issues have worsened. I don't know of any instance where you resolve a problem by worsening it. And the reason why it has lingered is that Nanado has not taken himself. You see, Nanaba, let me tell you, final safe landing. Safe landing. Your own principle. You see, the reason why you see, when conflict breaks up,
Felix,
what you do is to take yourself out of the conflict and seek to
which
bring.
He has done.
He has not.
He has done.
And when I say take
Phyllis, you said this.
Nanaba, listen. When I say take yourself, I don't mean that you stand aloof. What you mean is that you don't take sides.
But has he taken any side here?
He is the source.
Okay.
Nanaba, he is the source of the conflict.
Felix, I know. You know this gives Felix blood.
It gives him blood. Suspended to be opposed now. That is a blatant truth.
All right then. Alex.
Nana, you see, Felix can say all that he wants to say.
They're very uncomfortable times, aren't they?
It's the truth.
Obviously.
It's uncomfortable, but it's the truth nonetheless.
But you have to manage it. Political business is not for babies. So you would have to manage it. Why? Haven't they seen this before? You recall, just 6 months after Professor Moses' election, the man was sworn in and there were all manner of attacks from his own within. Spielgabra came up with this argument of Team B. President Rawlings was criticizing Mills. over his leadership. In spite of all that, people like Felix were out there protecting and speaking for President Mills that, hey, the man was in control. To the extent that even in 2011, they still had this problem, and President Mills was contested by Mrs. Konadu Ajiman-Rawlings. Spio had to drop in the last minute because he was talked out of the race. In 2012 elections, how many people didn't know that NDC went into the 2012 as a divided party? But they had the backing of the grassroots. And I'm saying that power does not come from the top. I concede. And he's right by saying that I have come out, to accept the fact that there's a problem at the top. No doubt. I agree. Where some people are being blackmailed here and there, people are being overly cautious because they don't want to do this and that. But my comfort is grounded on the resolve by the grassroots for power. To me, that is the bottom line. They face a similar crisis. Their grassroots supporters were united. So they protected the ballot at the various polling stations. As a result, they were able to win power. I'm saying that today, he cannot water down our success in the district assembly elections. In 2006, their seniors were all over on the airwaves that NDC guys had won a lot of seats, so that point to a success in 2008. In 2010, this assembly election, a similar thing happened. In Central Region, a lot of NDC folks won, and they said, look, these were signs of good things to come. I am saying that there is a problem. There is a problem.
I'll give you just 1 minute to talk about Nanado's tour. He's leaving the Volta region on his way to the Eastern region now. Yeah.
This rise and build, Nanado is engaging. We've come out of primaries. People from the party, people won, others lost. We have constituency executives. There are, of course, bits and pieces of political haven't come out of elections. There would be some small disagreements here and there. It is possible for the leader to go offer leadership, assure them, work together, give the grassroots that needed support, touch base with opinion leaders, explain to them, of course, what the party stands for, assure them that, look, in spite of all that is happening, and you see, in Volta region, and I even spoke about this crisis, that, look, we hear people talk about some disagreement, that all these things will come to pass. It tells you that much as the man may not be coming out openly to say, I'm doing this or that, he has a backroom staff who are touching base. And he's given us that indication that these things are nearly a storm in a teacup. From there, he's going to the Eastern region. He set his campaign in motion. After all these consultations, I expect that a campaign team will be announced. You see, and immediately a campaign team is announced, it takes away all these issues of this, that. All of us will now be following the flag bearer. And I think that is what the grassroots want. And the Nanado has responded to that swiftly. Now look, the grassroots want their leader. To them, they are tired of Fred Blay, Afoko, Kwabene Japan. And I believe that once the campaign is in motion and people hear the flag bearer, at least he's telling them, look, I'm coming to work. I'm coming to offer you a first-class governance. I have what it takes. He has parliamentarians. He has party leaders. He has people in the business circles who he can select as take them on board to run his government. He has renowned economists. He's running mates. Nobody doubts the credibility and what Mr. Dr. Bawumia has and his contribution to governance. Nobody doubts that. So I can assure you that yes, these things are in the party. They are not new. Our friends who are criticizing us, and I think Felix is right, except that he will want to hit hard on another. But he knows that they've seen the worst before in their party. He knows it.
Okay.
Nanaba,
He knows it.
there's no time in the history of Ghana.
No problem.
May
I go back to my safe landing? So
okay,
no problem.
Okay, 30 seconds safe.
No problem. He should criticize us. But I can assure him, the South African example is there. We know there may be problems. They had it. Even at a point in 2008, 3 months to election, some of their own people doubted Professor Moses' ability to win. Some people were calling for his resignation. Some people, apart from talking about ailment, they felt that Professor Moses was not in control of the party. He couldn't be a leader. But the winning had the young men, he himself, and all that, stood solidly behind Professor Moses. I'm assuring the good people of Ghana today that Esebe Yabua, Patrick Boama, Dr. Nuama, and the rest, Alex Makin, Amankwa, and the young men in the party, okay, are ready. Those of us in parliament, those outside parliament, we know some of these challenges that we face. Some of our leaders' ego problems is affecting them. Yes, we know it. But we are ready to appeal to Ghanaians. We are ready to work and ensure that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo get elected, because we believe that Ghanaians are tired of the NDC. Ghanaians are waiting for
blended.
You see, apart from the fact that Nana Addo's own record of performance when he was in government, it's nothing to write him about. And I'm sure that there will be plenty of opportunity to assess him based on what he says on the campaign platform. When you present yourself at elections, there are 3 things that the people consider. The first one is the leader, in this case, the flag bearer. The second is the message. What does the flag bearer have to say that convinces us to vote? The third one is the machine, in this instance, the party.
Political consultants.
Now, all these 3 have not aligned properly in the MPP. The leader has shown himself incapable of leading that organization, because people expect a certain minimum of peace to prevail in our... Nobody is suggesting that there won't be disagreements in any human institution. I'm sure this morning your production team had disagreements over the direction of this program, but we didn't get to hear of it. As far as we are concerned, the program is going on, and I'm sure viewers are enjoying it. So what happens in the background should not come to the fore. In the MPP's instance, what happens in the background is always at the forefront, and the leader who is supposed to hold everybody in check and assert himself has been unable to do that. So the leader's credibility is in serious doubt, even as he addresses the electorate. The second one is the message. Now, the message of the leader is constantly distorted, and if you like, sidetracked by the ugly noises that emerge from the party. At the same time that Nana Addo was supposed to be on a rise and build tour, news emerged of this alleged malfeasance in the party. So instead of even focusing on the message, we were discussing whether or not somebody has stolen 5 million Ghana cedis in the MPP, compelling the police to even invite, or if like attempt to arrest, or whatever it is that they extended to Mr. Freddie Blay. Now let's come to the machinery. The machinery is disjointed. On a daily basis, the public see your leaders bickering publicly. Okay, it is not private squabbles, public bickering. I heard Mr. Abankwa, I heard Mr. Freddie Blay basically pillaring the national chairman and the general secretary. When a treasurer feels so confident as to publicly censure a general secretary and a national chairman, then you know that there's a problem. You see, they say that when you see a pregnant goat in the market, it means that there's a pregnant problem at home. So the MPP, whatever they do, you see, whatever they do, you see, Nanaba, you see, again, that's where you are mistaken. You see, the grassroots, where you call the grassroots, in other words, your members and supporters and sympathizers, unfortunately, they cannot lead themselves to the promised land. There's a reason why you have leadership. Otherwise, there will be no need for leaders. When elections come, tell the MPP grassroots to make sure that the party...
But there are leaders at the constituency level.
No.
There are leaders...
Alex, your problem permeates...
Oh, come on. It's not true.
Listen, Nanaba.
No.
Please, let me do it. I beg you.
No, but you are making an authoritative statement.
I'm saying that... I'm saying that...
not true. You can analyze.
I'm saying that...
You can criticize, but don't say...
level.
No. It is never true.
The leadership...
No.
The leadership at the grassroots level pales into insignificance when you set it against the leadership at the national level. All of them look up to the national leadership, and even the national leadership, they all look up to the flag bearer. So when there is a break in this chain, you are going to have a cyclical effect on all. So the MPP is in deep crisis. And the earlier...
The government is not in deep crisis.
Is it,
Nanaba? Is the government in crisis?
We are not in crisis.
You are not.
President Mahama has performed an amazing job. And you see, eventually when the campaign heats up and we get to discuss the issues, provided the MPP's distractions take the back seat and we are able to focus on more substantive matters, you will see that there is daylight between the NDC and the MPP. So we are very confident. We are relishing the prospect for a debate on our performance. But even before we get to do that, here is a party that is constantly in turmoil. They cannot even bring anything to the table for you to consider, because that message would immediately be taken off the table by bickering. So I'm sure the people who are watching us know. I don't even need to belabor the point. Final point. President Mahama will pick his nomination forms today.
We'll file.
We will file his nomination forms.
You have gagged others.
We have not gagged others.
You don't want anybody else to contest.
Listen, we are only acting out of respect. Unlike you who can send machetes to your national headquarters. We don't do that.
We've seen
I just them and go. You know what has happened?
Nanaba, Swift.
You arrested some party executives.
Exactly. The police.
Listen.
Swift action.
Tomorrow, we know what happened tomorrow.
Nanaba, we have we suspended the executive in that particular constituency. We took disciplinary action against all those engaged in that kind of fun. That tells you that we are a serious party and that we don't countenance misconduct and indiscipline.
Finally, before we go, should Stano be fired? Professor Odrigajeko seems to think so.
No. Well, you see, the decision lies with the president. We heard about his conduct when the doctor's issue came up. Recently, when Mr. Nuama passed on, we were told about his treatment of the presidential media team and all that. You see, he himself was once a media person, and I believe just as Felix says that we can subject anybody's conduct to public scrutiny, he should know that he's in public office, and the way he conducts himself would in one way or the other affect whoever he serves. If it had been anybody in the NPP, Felix would have quickly rushed to perhaps conclude that it is the flag bearer who is not bringing him to check. I don't know how he will react to this, but if it had been an aide to the flag bearer or somebody he considers to be a Nanado loyalist, as he always put it, he would have quickly place the blame at the doorstep of Nanado and then concluded that it's a leadership failure. I don't know how he will react to the call on Mr. Stano, who is seen as Mr. President Mohammed's loyal, obedient servant, who is seen as to have shot to prominence as a result of Mr. President Mohammed's love for him. And so far, we've not heard of any public reprimand.
Yesterday I spoke to Kwame Kufu, the lawyer, on the phone about this issue. And Kwame was actually making a very valid point that if at any point Stan felt that the conversation between him and Dr. Mane Buama bordered on national security, then probably there was every reason to seize that tape recorder from the gentleman. It is not valid?
Nana, let's listen. You see, I work.
You have no answer to that.
I work closely with Stan, and therefore I know that the efforts to vilify him and crucify him are at best exaggerated. It is not unusual to have instances where people target certain individuals because of what they perceive to be political and single them out for bad press. I do know that he's a very hard-working team player who doesn't do the things, except that he's not too much in the public limelight. And so he prefers to work in the background, and all manner of claims and allegations are peddled, almost all of which are completely untrue. Now, when this incident was reported, mind you, at this stage, it remains only an allegation. You understand me? The chief of staff of all persons took steps to look into the matter. And I can assure you, President Mahama is not the sort who will countenance, if you like, quote-unquote, misconduct. There have been many occasions where he has censured us. There are days when even he as president has been viciously attacked by the opposition. But he has even cautioned those of us who have been willing, if you like, to point out the erroneous nature of the claims that have been made against him. He has questioned us to be measured in what we say in order that we do not appear abusive or we do not appear confrontational. So a man with this character is not about to sit down and allow this thing to happen, if indeed it happened. But like I said, it's a matter that is being looked into. Now again, you see, the call by Professor Odrigajepo, with the greatest respect to her, is devoid of some moral value. Because Madame Gajopo was in Ghana, okay? She was very critical of the Rawlings regime. The moment the President Kufuor regime came into power, suddenly she lost all her sense of criticism. You recall the incident involving the TV Africa crew, who were seized and detained in the house of President Kufuor because they had gone to film Hotel Kufuor. You recall instances where Justice Adobwe was set upon by bodyguards of the president and beaten to pulp. You recall the incident where Efia Pokua was beaten at an MPP event. You recall the incident where Peter Apesewu, a reporter with the Insight newspaper, was harassed at an MPP press conference and all that. Madame Gajopo never made these calls. She didn't call for persons engaging in this conduct to be sanctioned. I am not saying that if anybody is found upon thorough investigation of a matter to have acted wrongly, no sanctions should be applied. And I'm confident that President Ama is not the sort of person to countenance that. I know for a fact that the claims against Stan are completely misplaced and exaggerated. In some instances, there is absolutely no truth in it. But you see, let commentators like Madame Gajopo show consistency. This country that we live in, we suffer too much inconsistency on the part of persons who say they are neutral arbiters in our politics.
All right.
If TV Africa crew members are detained at the house of the president for no justifiable reason and Madame Gajopo keeps quiet, I believe that it strips her of the necessary moral authority to come and criticize something like this.
There is an issue of somebody destroying.
I think that it remains a mere.
On that note, thank you very much.
It remains an allegation that
honorable member of parliament for the Ofutu constituency.
You can't continue to do this forever.
Deputy Minister of
Somebody has instructed
who has failed to tell us whether he's going to pick up.
He's not sure from day one. He's not sure
you have been installing me in parliament. You and Alex have conspired to put me in parliament.
But when it's an office you desire.
No, but I've told you, Nana,
maybe we want to see you in parliament.
It's a fairly straightforward matter. Whenever it is that I decide to run for any office, apart from the one I'm
you've been talking about it.
Let's give him the opportunity to let her and have it with us. He doesn't want the whole world to know.
Oh, no, it's not.
So we'll give him an opportunity to let her and have it with us.
Thank you very much.